Since you brought up hostages, for those of you who don't recall, Ambassador O'Brien, before he became the National Security Advisor, was the special presidential envoy on hostage affairs. Since you left office, more hostages have been taken, including a basketball player in Russia. What do you think about, you helped get a rapper out of somewhere, I can't remember what that was, but how do we get a basketball star out of Russia without doing damage to our national interests, but getting her home?
Yeah, so it'll be my grave. It doesn't matter that I was National Security Advisor or husband, father. It's going to say, I got ASAP Rocky out of Sweden. That's my highest, Henry Kissinger got, dealt with the Yom Kippur War and had the Paris Peace Accords. And my gravestone will say ASAP Rocky released from Sweden. Of course, it's probably the reason I'm National Security Advisor, so I shouldn't joke, so I owe ASAP one and owe the Swedes one for taking him. Look, all these hostage cases are different. Certainly ASAP was a unique and unusual one. I would go into court in Sweden, and there was a radio reporter from Denmark who was kind of the Howard Stern of Denmark, who would yell at me, "Mr. Ambassador, are you sending the Navy SEALs to rescue ASAP Rocky? Are you moving a carrier to the Baltic to threaten Sweden to get ASAP Rocky out?" I thought, no, but maybe that's a good idea. Bring the carrier in. We got him out, fortunately, that week, because in some ways my job was pretty easy being the negotiator, because if you didn't have to negotiate with me, you got to negotiate with my boss. And they were always worried about what President Trump might do. And so I looked like the better option for those negotiations, especially on the ASAP case. But look, they're all different cases. Sometimes we do a military rescue, which was my preferred course of action where we could. That wasn't always possible because of where the hostages were held, and especially if they were held as a wrongful detainee by a state. It was always very difficult to do a military operation in those cases. With non-state actors, that was our first approach. But the Brittany Griner situation, look, the Biden administration has a very good SPIHA, which sounds like a Dr. Seuss name for my old job, for the Special Presidential Envoy for Hostage Affairs. Roger Carstens, who worked with us, and he stayed over into the Biden administration. The hostage families really wanted him to stay, and I'm glad he did. And he's actually had some real success, especially recently in Venezuela, bringing, I think, 7 Americans home. And I take my hat off to Roger. He's done a terrific job. And we'll get Brittany Griner home. The Russians want Victor Bout, who was an arms dealer and kind of a Lord of War type guy, terrorist. We've got Victor. After a long time, the FBI was able to get him in a sting operation. That's basically the deal. But the Russians were very careful, and they selected Brittany Griner, in my view, because she covered all of the demographics of the Biden coalition. She's an African-American, lesbian, obviously female, and so it puts a lot of pressure on the Biden folks to bring her home. And that gives the Russians a lot of leverage, knowing that they have to bring her home, knowing that LeBron James has come out and said she shouldn't come back to America because we haven't done enough to get her back. Al Sharpton has complained about why Brittany Griner's not home. So the Russians know they have some leverage here. And again, as I said earlier, they're tough negotiators. Henry would tell you this. And so they're going to squeeze as much as they can. But I do think Brittany, I think the outlines of a deal are there. I think Brittany will come home at some point soon. I don't think she'll spend 10 years in a Russian penal colony. But I also think that Putin is really sticking it to President Biden right now with the captivity.